Hey, good morning. How is everybody? Can you guys hear me? If you can hear me, can you comment in the chat? I can see the chat good. I see crimes have consequences. Hey, dear. Good to see you. Diana, good morning. Hey, Lil G. How are you, dear? Casey K, what's happening? Can you hear me, crimes? I'm going to type, can you hear me in the chat? Oh, gosh. Can you hear me speaking right now? Hang on a second. Let me see if there's something I need to do on my end. You can hear me now? You know, it's weird because obviously I can't hear myself. So I'm like, is it going? Can you hear me speaking? Is it clear? Well, good morning. I hope you guys are doing well. And this won't be a very long video. I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about my channel and kind of what inspired me to create a YouTube channel. And part of that was, you know, I've always been interested in studying the human body. I've always been interested in nursing and medicine, which includes psychology, psychiatry. That includes why people do the things that they do. And I also have had a huge interest in criminology. Growing up, I loved reading mystery novels. Patricia Cornwell, she was an awesome author. Actually, she was a local lady from Tennessee, went to the University of Tennessee. And fun fact, she actually played tennis with my aunt on the tennis team. But she wrote a really good book called The Body Farm. And it was just intriguing to me to read about these various crimes. And Dr. Kay Scarpetta was a medical examiner. And so she was involved with part of the crime that had occurred when she would do an autopsy, and also the anatomy and the physiology behind the various, you know, the wounds that they had received and the criminal aspect behind it. So that was always intriguing to me. And so I also loved the Netflix series, The Mindhunters. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that. It is awesome. It's fantastic. It was centered around the FBI and when they started doing their behavioral health department and began analyzing the serial killers, the worst of the worst criminals, and why they committed those crimes, the criminal behavior and the psychology and the psychosocial, socioeconomic reasons that kind of contributed to them becoming lifelong criminals and committing these horrible crimes and atrocities. So taking that and studying, nursing and medicine, it led me to want to understand, why do people commit these crimes, and how can we as a society help prevent that? What are the warning signs that we can look at in our own communities that need to be addressed? Whether that's in the school system, in your church, in your mom group friends that you hang out with on Facebook, and how can we support each other and try to prevent these things from happening? You take all of that information, and a little girl named Summer Moon Utah Wells went missing June 15th, 2021 in Hawkins County, Tennessee, Rogersville, in the Beech Creek community. She was 5 years old at the time of her disappearance. She has blonde hair, blue eyes. She probably stands more closer to 4 feet tall. I think the TBI had originally reported her as 3 feet tall. However, that's really, really short. And looking at some of the pictures of Miss Summer, she looks quite a bit taller than 3 feet tall and weighing close to 40 pounds. She was reportedly wearing a pink shirt. And I've also seen conflicting reports whether it was gray shorts or gray pants. However, I think the most recent one, it's gray pants. And she's been missing for nearly 2 years now. I live close to their home. I live in Northeast Tennessee. So I followed the case really closely. I didn't actually get started watching YouTube until it had been quite some time, at least probably 3 or 4 months maybe, since she was initially reported missing. However, I do remember getting the Amber Alert on my phone that night. I remember the helicopters flying over, the planes, the drones. You could hear everything from where we are. And it was very scary. It was sad, scary. And every day since then, you check your phone, you check the computer, you're just hoping and praying that there's going to be new information shared, there's going to be a crack in the investigation, and that she can be found, and that she's safe, and that she's well. So all of these things kind of inspired me to create a channel, and it's called Birdie's Crime Chat. And I'm glad that you're here with me. I'm happy that you're here. And so the title of the video today was, Can Words Have Meaning in Summer Wells' Case? And that led me to Steve Johnson. I believe he's a gentleman. He's a retired detective that was interviewed on The Interview Room. And he has done actually some courses for even laymen like myself. You could join if you wanted to, on like kind of evaluating statements, statement analysis. His course, I believe, is called Truth to Lies. And basically that means that there can be some truths that are hidden among the lies that people tell the media, law enforcement, their family, and how we can kind of try to identify those things. when you're looking at someone, their body language, when you're looking at their blink rate, are they doing hard swallows? Is their body posture closed off? And it's really interesting to me. And he is so smart. This guy is like, he's super intelligent. He's studied these things for probably decades. And now he is actually training FBI law enforcement and helping them to be better experts in their field, which is fantastic. And I myself am not even, I wouldn't even say a novice. I just find it interesting. I just think it's really intriguing to think that there's so much that can go into an interrogation that investigators have to look at. And then when you think about that too, you think about your local law enforcement or even state government agencies such as the TBI, the FBI, and you're thinking, wow, are they on this expert level as Mr. Johnson is? I don't know. I hope he can train them though. So when you think about, let's say someone's being interrogated or they're going in for questioning. When you think about the human body, when you're under a stressful situation, your body starts producing a lot of stress hormones, such as cortisol, norepinephrine, epinephrine. Those things increase your heart rate, your breathing rate, and they also can create certain brain waves that could even show up on an EEG. That's kind of, the EEG machine is what is used as a diagnostic tool that monitors brain waves for folks that are having symptoms of seizure activity. So it's the body and the mind are very powerful working together. And those are the things, this increased heart rate, the amount that your body sweats, perspiration, those are things that the polygraph picks up on when people are being deceptive. Those things increase. So when folks fail several polygraphs, and polygraphs are kind of controversial, right? It's not an exact science. No, it's not. I'm sure many, innocent folks could have even failed a polygraph. And of course, there are some that have been deceptive that have passed polygraph. That is the reason, of course, it's not admissible in a court. However, I think it can be a good tool in an investigation to say, hey, they failed 3 times or 2 times, and we feel like this could be a factor that they're not being as truthful as they should be. You're going to hear me thumbing through my notes because I got to take notes. I had to jot some things down. And I'm going to look at the chat for a second. Hey, Whistle While You Lurk. Thanks for joining. It's good to see you. I can't see if I can see, I can read your comments. I can't see if there's anybody in chat that's like perhaps not commenting. Hey, Fizzle, good to see you. This is a live, and it's like a live / premiere, just meaning this is just the first live that I'm doing. So I'm premiering my channel to you. And I'm going to try, I did a really short video. It's basically just a small collection of pictures regarding Summer Wells, the announcement for when she went missing, her poster, and then a few photographs that I wanted to show you guys and kind of talk about for just a little bit. Let me get over there really quick. Hang on for just a second. Hey, Fizzle, I was trying to see where I could put. I know my avatar didn't show up, and I'm not sure why. Do you have any suggestions? Okay. I'm adding a picture to the screen. Can you guys see it okay? Okay. You can see it, Crimes? Okay, good. So this is, hey, Amy, good morning. Good to see you. You can see Summer on the screen. Is she showing up okay? Thank you, Fizzle. I stopped the camera and then added my avatar on the side. I appreciate any and all suggestions because I'm really green at this and I'm technologically ignorant, basically. So any help is greatly appreciated. Trust me. So I wanted to show you guys a picture of Miss Summer Moon Utah Wells. This was reportedly videoed the day that she went missing in June. This was at the location where they were swimming at Warriors Path Park near the riding stables. It's actually in my other video I did on my community post. I misspoke and I said that was Watauga Lake, and I apologize. That's not Watauga Lake. That is Fort Patrick Henry, I think, Lake, where the Fort Patrick Henry Dam kind of butts up next to this waterway. It's a man-made lake around the park, and this is the area that they went swimming that day. And I don't know if you guys will be able to see it or not, but I kind of took a screenshot of this in the video, and I was really trying to zoom in to look at her fingernails. I was trying to see if they appeared like they had been painted, if they had any blue discoloration. And you guys can, I'm not noticing any, but it's very hard to see. So I'm going to play. Okay. And this is one of the first reports that we see of Summer. She was reported missing to the Hawkins County Sheriff's Department around 6:30 on Tuesday, June 15th. The investigators immediately began working the case. Shortly after that, an endangered child alert was issued. New information and a growing concern about the well-being of Summer prompted the TBI to issue a statewide Amber Alert less than 12 hours later. So you go back and you think, initially she was endangered child alert. However, after learning new information that obviously concerned the TBI, they ramped that up to a statewide Amber Alert, which in my opinion is concerning, right? And it gives Summer's description there as well. It discusses when she was last seen. Says her mother reports last seeing her on the afternoon of June 15th at their home in the 100 block of Ben Hill Road. In order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, we will not provide additional information regarding the timeline, which some of us have also seen. Initially, the brothers had reported her walking out the back door, the basement door, walking down the road. You know, we've heard maybe 3 different scenarios as to how she was last seen, right? Which is kind of a red flag. And then TBI answers. This is pretty much the the questions regarding frequently asked things for the TBI, and they're kind of clarifying some information. If you've never looked at their Twitter site, I would really recommend that because it's very helpful in getting factual information directly from the TBI spokesperson, Leslie Earhart. And it's going to be your most up-to-date information regarding her case and her whereabouts as well. And now previously, I was going to do a video regarding the significance. What could be the significance? Let me rephrase that. What could be the significance of Summer Wells' jacket? You know, we've seen quite a bit of kind of controversial things on YouTube lately regarding her jacket. And I have so many questions, you all. You know, gosh, it's hard because in one sense, let me go back. This video was allegedly taken June 15th, reported by the mother, Candace Blau Wells, on their way home from swimming that day in their outings, right? The places that they had gone to. She allegedly took the video in the car because she said Summer's arm was up and she wanted to snap a picture. However, she says her mother, Miss Candy Hare, was in the front seat, accidentally snapped the video picture or the video button instead of taking just a photograph. So we get a very small glimpse of Summer riding in the back seat of the car. I don't know if I can make that bigger, you guys. Does that help any? When I do that, I'm not able to see the chat. So here, this is interesting. I've never reviewed this video, and there's probably going to be a lot of information that I can contribute to it. I don't know if StreamYard's going to give me that long to talk about it. But obviously there's concerning things that I'm seeing in the video. One of my questions is, I don't know if this video was taken June 15th. For whatever reason, law enforcement will not either confirm or deny that the video took place in June on this day, the same day she went missing. However, certain folks have done a really good job at investigative work, like Michelle After Dark. She went back and did a kind of screen by screen, frame by frame video showing how full the tree foliage was on the ride. And that is very much looks like June, in the month of June. She also looked at Candace's hair, the length of it, and determined from the time it was shaved, like in March or whenever, you know, the hair growth. And so it really does lead to looking like it was taken in June, but we don't know if it was the day of. So, but fortunately, the metadata that the FBI and TBI have, that will confirm, obviously, the day and time that that video was in fact recorded. The significance to me in this video, there's some concerning things that I see looking at Summer. For one, she's not in a lap belt or a shoulder harness. She's not in a booster seat. For whatever reason, the lap belt's behind her. And here in a second, I think I'll get a closer up picture. Okay. And if you'll notice too, when I advanced the video just a little bit and went to this picture, Summer's right hand, which is closest to the milk jugs because it's, you know, it's in a picture and she's sitting in a seat. So it's the opposite of you looking at it. Her right arm, her right elbow is kind of gently tucked in the milk jugs, the two that are placed there beside of her. And they look strategically placed, right? To me, it does. It doesn't look like they just haphazardly fell that way. It looks like her arm was kind of tucked in there. Now, for that reason, when I go back, look at her right hand. Summer's right wrist here, you can see her fingertips are facing upward. Her hand position is different than it was in the picture. This is the picture. Her hand is relaxed, kind of like making a C, the letter C with her thumb and her fingers. However, here, it's almost like her right wrist is flexed at a 90-degree angle. If you all want to do an experiment, you certainly can. If you bend your right wrist like you're trying to touch your fingers to the inside of your arm, it is practically impossible to get your hand and your wrist to stay in that flexed position. I can't do it. My hand automatically wants to relax. However, if Summer was in a compromised state of health, if she had any neurological damage, a traumatic brain injury, a hit to the head, you can have a neurological response that causes non-purposeful arm movement called the fencing response. That happens and can happen when one of your arms or both arms move up, kind of like the old sport fencing where you had your sword in your hand. And that is what we call a neurological response to a traumatic brain injury. When you go back to the title, Words Have Meaning, why did Candace want to record that message? She said Summer's arm was up. First time she interviewed, she said both arms were up. She put both of them up. Did Candace tuck in that right arm because Summer's arm wouldn't go down? Could Candace have recorded this video because she was concerned? She was worried. She didn't know what to do. She'd never seen Summer do that. She couldn't put her arm down. She didn't understand. She needed proof. She needed help. Is that possible? Maybe. Maybe. When I also look at this picture, I see Summer's right earlobe is blue. Now, what would cause that? And there's some different things that could cause that. It could be a bruise. It could have been caused from a blow, a hit, something else. It could be dye from something. Maybe she was coloring. Maybe she got dirty. But that's the side that's up against the milk. Summer's fingertips. Let me go back a little bit. I wish I would have put a little bit more time. I'm really new at doing these videos, so you'll have to forgive me because I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm learning on CapCut, and it's a miracle that I actually was able to upload it thanks to my friends. Thank you, Fizzle. So the other thing is, of course, people had mentioned before her fingernails look concerning. They do have a bluish purplish color to them. There's also some things that could have caused that. For instance, if you're in a compromised state of health and your oxygen level is low, there is something called peripheral cyanosis. That's just a fancy term for your fingers, your toes, your earlobes, body parts that are on the periphery, not the center of your body. They can become bluish in color. That's from lack of oxygen, lower hemoglobin levels, carrying oxygen to your body. Central cyanosis, however, is when the lips would turn blue, perioral around your mouth. That's what we call central cyanosis. That's a later stage of lower oxygen in the body. First would be fingertips toenails or, around your toenails. It could also be that she was dirty, from playing in the water, playing in the dirt, the soil. She hadn't washed her hands. I don't know. It could also be from, I noticed something interesting. When Summer would swing on her swing, there was a video that the family had put out, and it looked like the rope that Summer swang on, it was a bluish purple color, and it looked like that rope, it looked to me like the color could come off onto her hands, because it looked like her fingers and her fingernails may have had that discoloration on them then. And I've asked in a chat for the Wells to please answer me that question. When Summer would swing on her swing, on that rope swing, did the color ever come off onto her hands? You got sweaty hands. I don't know if you've ever done that, something before like that. You're working outside in the garden. The shovel has a green handle. The color comes off onto your hands. It's just something that happens. And to me, it looked like that swing. And I do have a picture of it, but I didn't upload it to this video. But I'll show you later if anybody would like to see it, would like to see that. But anyway, it could have been from that. Now, the important thing, in my opinion, is if that, in fact, was the cause of her fingernails appearing that way, that would have meant Miss Summer Wells would have been at her home swinging on that swing prior to this car ride. Yes, crimes like M&Ms in your hands. Exactly. Thank you. That is an awesome explanation. So, and like I said, if in fact it was from that, then that would have meant something important with the timeline. That would have meant that she would have been at home and something could have possibly happened to her. Then one other aspect of the video is if anything did happen to this child and the parents had potentially planned an abduction, planned her disappearance, would they have asked videographers to alter this photo to make it look like she in fact had injuries or she was in a compromised state of health? It's possible. And we just will not know until the metadata comes back, unfortunately. So in the meantime, the other things that were concerning, and one of our friends also said the fingernails could have been fingernail polish. That was why I initially put the picture in of Summer swimming that morning, because I was trying to see if I could get a recent picture of her nails to see if she in fact had them polished, because I couldn't find a recent one that showed the polish that was on there, and I didn't have a date. So that was why I did that. And that's also possible, right? So you have to look at, I feel like you have to look at all possibilities. I think it's important to keep an open mind, but I also feel like it's important to point out certain things that could be concerning as well. Okay. This screenshot was taken when Dawn Wells posted, let's see, this one was actually a screenshot I took from a video, but I have other screenshots that were posted from when Mr. Wells had posted the video to his Facebook page. I had taken some from that to compare and contrast, and they're the same. The stain is present. When I look at, obviously, this jacket, there is a stain in the front near her abdomen area. It's concerning to me. Of course, you may also agree it does appear like a blood stain. It's the color. The outer edges are darker appearing. That sometimes can happen with a saturation stain, a blood saturation stain, where you have an interior level that's bleeding underneath, and that blood transfers onto a material on the outside. The outer edges begin to clot and darken. The area also appears darkened on the seat belt that is just above the stain. I don't see spill marks. I don't see drip marks. I don't see anything like Summer had on a jacket. She was drinking a slushie and she spilled the drink down her jacket. That is not what I'm seeing. But I am seeing a saturation type stain. Hey, Lily, thanks for joining me. I'm glad you're here. However, could she have had a stain underneath her jacket on another shirt? That is possible. We just don't know what substance that was. And to me, even if this jacket was laundered, it is very important that it is given to law enforcement for testing, for DNA. They can still, even if an article of clothing was washed, they can still determine if there is presence of blood on that. It is a possibility. And to me, that is very important in the investigation. This is another picture of the difference in Summer's hand. Her position, her wrist, and how it's positioned. It's very unnatural. And I don't see how there's a possibility of her continuing to keep her hand in that position if she is in an unconscious or a sleeping state, unless she would have had an injury that caused wrist flexion. There's something called, oh gosh, now I've forgotten, decerebrate versus decorticate posturing that can occur from an injury to the brain that causes the wrist to flex. It can happen on one side of the body versus the other side, or all extremities can exhibit this. This is just a picture that I took exhibiting a blood stain, saturation stain. It's on, I believe it's on a gauze, and you can see how it's a circumscribed area that also has the outer edges of the stain are darker, which is very similar to what her jacket appeared to look like. And here we have Miss Summer's box. And allegedly, this is her jacket that she wore that was left with Candace's friend, Kathy. And I just hope and pray that Miss Kathy does the right thing and gives this to law enforcement and determines if additional testing is needed. I feel it's warranted. And I'd be interested to know if it did have a stain that was still visible on the front center abdomen area. Let's go back to a little bit. There's something I forgot to say. It also appears in this picture. Can you guys see it okay? That her jacket was purposefully pulled down in the center. Do you see that? The areas that are like on her waist are up higher. Normally when you sit down in a car, the jacket is the same, going to be the same all around, except for in the back where your back rests. However, in this picture, it looks like the front center of her jacket was pulled down. Is that to possibly conceal the stain? And Crimes, you asked a question, I think you said, let me scroll up a second. You were asking about were you asking about her earlobe? her right ear. It looked to me like she had a bruise on her right earlobe. It was blue. Of course, any type of traumatic injury to the head that can cause bruising around the neck, the ear area, any fractures to the skull can cause that too, unfortunately. So that I did just a few pictures on the significance or the possible significance of the jacket, how some of the words that Candace spoke as the reason why she wanted to record the video. You know, she said because her arm was up, and I wanted to capture that. However, when you look at the picture, it doesn't appear like Summer could raise her arm, right? She was not in a state in that car, slumped over to the right side, right arm tucked in between two milk jugs, where she could elevate her arm, unless she was half asleep. We also look at some of the other cases. We look at Gannon Stalk. And you'll remember Evil Letitia Stalk recorded a video of him before he passed, before he was murdered. She recorded that as proof of life. She recorded that to show he was still living. He was present at one point. Is that a common similarity? Is that a commonality here? I don't know. I go back and I've read through statements on Facebook. I read through statements in the media, statements on YouTube, comments, and there's some concerning things. Initially, I want to find this photo that I took because I want to read what Mr. Don Wells wrote in a Facebook post. Allegedly, he was going onto Facebook because he had a dream. He had a dream about an angel came to see him. Let me see. Hold on. I'll never find it, of course, now that I'm talking about it. He had an angel that had come to see him. This was about, I believe, a week. Here it is. This was approximately a week after Summer had went missing. Oh my goodness, you guys. This writing is so tiny. I don't know if I can read it. June 24th, 2021, Facebook post from Donald Wells. I dreamed that Summer was with me on a commercial construction site, and I asked her where she had been, and she said she had been by the road. I woke up with the word Moderna repeating, over and over again. We have been praying to get to God to send angels and please give us something to go on. He says that he went back and researched Moderna, Maderna. He found some construction site somewhere in Mexico and some other place that I apologize. That's the word. I created this CapCut video and I simply cannot read it. It's just tiny. So he's looking for a location, right? He's looking for a location. Moderna. Does anybody else, when you hear the word Moderna, what do you think? Does anybody want to answer in the chat? I bet Hurricane Camille has an answer. Hey girl, how are you doing? It's good to see you. Moderna. Hurricane Camille says medicine. Yeah. When I think of Moderna, I think of the COVID vaccine. What did the Republicans largely call, especially, and well, not just Republicans, all of America, are you going to get the shot? The shot. Are you going to get the shot? Right. Diana, exactly. You know, it's interesting. I heard cracking cases talking about a CPS case that was just closed. Mr. Cam said, allegedly, CPS case was closed June 14th. You know why it was closed? Somebody reported that those kids were up there on that hill with BB guns, air rifles, whatever, shooting, right? On a recent live Mr. Wells did on Jinky's Rumor Has It channel, which I'm sure a lot of people have watched, he was very angry. He was angry at the YouTubers. He was angry at the psychics, at law enforcement, the TBI, everybody using profanity, horrible language. And when he was called out for saying a specific horrible explicative, I shall not ever repeat, he said, "What the F would you do if somebody shot your family member in the head?" What? Excuse me? Did this happen? Fizzle's right. It was in the news a lot. Going back to vaccines. Absolutely. It was. But I thought it was interesting. All of these things mentioned. Moderna, the shot. The kids allegedly had BB guns, air rifles. He spoke about a family member who was shot in the head on his property. Do those words have meaning? Are they important? Is the subconscious trying to say things that the tongue will not speak? Are there slips? Are there truths among lies? I don't know, but it caught my attention. It caught my attention. And I felt it was important to talk about it, even if it is speculation, even if it is just analyzing these things and trying to think about things. Because we don't know what happened. But I think we will someday. I know we will. I have faith. There's another statement, other things that I've noticed that the father has said. You know, he felt so sorry for all the searchers, right? There was such pity that he felt sorry for them. They sacrificed their time, their sweat for his daughter. And would someone that didn't have, or was, if someone knew for a fact that their family member was not going to be found in this searched areas, would they have that same level of pity for them? Or would they feel more thankful if, in fact, she could have been out there? Is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that made sense, the way I worded that. And then when someone else had asked, did you have anything to do with your daughter's disappearance? I don't know if I've ever heard a straight no. Have you all? I've heard a lot of, I work all the time. You know, I work all the time. If I would have had anything to do with that disappearance, with her disappearance, I would just apologize and admit it. Is that what you call plausible deniability? There's no obvious evidence. He's denying it. It could be plausible because the hard evidence is not showing itself. But he's not denying it in a very face-forward way. It's an if statement. If I would have done anything. There is no no in that statement. And that bothers me. Those words matter to me. Those words could possibly help solve the case. And getting someone to finally confess to what happened that day. There's knowledge that's likely not been shared, timeline of events, I pray, that have come forward to law enforcement. But I don't know. You know, they're so tight-lipped, keeping everything close to the vest, that we just don't know. And that's okay. I just pray that it's progressing and that it's moving in the right direction, because she does deserve justice. And her community of people that care about her well-being, we want answers. We want to know that she's okay. We want to know that she is not potentially suffering and that she's being cared for if she is still living. And if not, she deserves a proper resting place. Right? Right. Well, I think that's pretty much the big majority of the things that I wanted to say today. And I thank you guys so much for coming and joining me. And I apologize if I wasn't very interactive with you, with all my friends in the chat. I'm so new at this. I'll get better, though. I promise. Does anybody have any questions before I end the live? I've got the tips for Summer Wells scrolling down there. Please call 1-800-TBI-FIND if you have any information regarding the disappearance or the whereabouts of Summer Moon Utah Wells. Again, it's 1-800-TBI-FIND. Whistlewire Lurk says, I think they know what happened, but may not know who all is involved or where she is. That's possible, Whistle. Thank you. Thank you, Whistle. I appreciate that. That is possible. I've thought a lot about a lot of things. I've thought about the conflicting statements between Candace and, let's just say, H, for the events surrounding that day, June 15th, when they've both been interviewed. And we know law enforcement allows them to lie to us. For that reason alone, we think, wow, they could say anything, right? And so when you know that, it's hard to formulate ideas, thought processes surrounding even just a timeline, knowing the fact alone that they could be deceitful in telling the public those certain things. However, even knowing that, obviously, there has to have been things that were either omitted, likely, things that were definitely omitted because of the discrepancies between H and Candace. Whether he sat where in the car, he didn't even seem to know about the milk jugs and where they were placed and the location of their placement. There's a pillow that came into the story at some point in the Chris McDonough interview, and that was actually on No Thanks channel the other night. I was trying to figure it out because I didn't understand where and how this pillow came into the story, but I was interested in it to know if it was in fact in the car that day. I don't even know what car they were driving, to be honest. Subaru, Suburban. Why was it sold? Why was the jacket with Subaru? Why were the dogs kept in the Suburban? Why was the jacket kept in the Suburban? So many questions. But I'm sorry, let me get back to that thought. So when I think about conflicting statements during that day between Candace and H, I also think about events of that day that were possibly omitted, right? Were they trying to get something? Were they on a mission for something that day? Did something happen to Summer at an alternate location? Did she get in between people fighting? Was she hurt? Was she injured? Was she handed to someone? Did Candace drop her off back at home and then leave and go be with Hunter somewhere else? Something happened at home. Anything is possible. I'm not sure how long I've been live for. Maybe an hour. Yes, Amy. Hashtag it's always been about Summer. I cannot agree with you more. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to advocate for Summer because right now she doesn't really have a voice. She's hidden. And I think it's important to bring out certain things that are concerning, with all due respect to everyone involved. I don't mean any harm. I just want answers. I appreciate think tanks. I appreciate a discussion. I appreciate others' opinions, their life stories, their input. But I hope you guys have enjoyed everything. I'm happy that you came here with me today. And I will hopefully get another live scheduled this week, and we'll talk about some other things. And the next live is going to have to do with younger people that commit crimes and kind of the psychosocial aspects that can accompany their actions. So I thank you guys so much for coming. Please subscribe and like if you would. I would greatly appreciate it. Justice for Summer. Yes, Whistle. Thank you, Diana. I appreciate you too, honey. Thank you, Miss Hurricane Camille. Have a good day. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.